everyone. Welcome to an episode of Hidden Gems with me, your host, Natasha Parker. I am happy today because I get to laugh. My guest today is Jared Freid. He is a comedian, but I love for my guests to introduce themselves. So this is your camera. Tell everyone who you are, what you do, what you about, everything, and I can't wait for this conversation.
There's a lot of... I gotta be funny now. That's the problem. That's why I never applied to The Bachelor.
Really?
Because it would be on the lower third. It would say Jared Freid comedian,
and
I could never really be funny enough to outdo the title. Like it would really be too much pressure for me. I wouldn't have the.
But you're not there to be the funny guy. You're there to find the love.
But then that would be it would crush me. Because it would be, well, it would. It'd be like, what, this guy thinks he's funny? Who is this guy? Do you remember when that guy, Jed, went on and he was a musician? He went far in Hannah's season. He got in a lot of trouble. Trouble. But like, he wasn't really beloved after he left the show. Yes. And he's a musician. And I was like, and then it got found that he made a dog food commercial jingle, and people made fun of that. And like in my mind, as a comedian, I'm like, I know people in commercials. That's good money. I was like, oh, he is a musician. Like in my mind, but like to the general population, it was like dog food jingle guy, and I was like, oh man, I felt for him as a working artist, you know, that like. He never could control that narrative, but I guess I am a comedian. All that is to say, I'm a comedian, and that's who I am. You know, I think I think most comedians, it's a very much like who they are as a person. Like it's a total lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I also think that, I mean, I didn't watch that season of The Bachelor, but I did hear that, like, didn't he like leave a girlfriend or something?
Yeah.
Did some shady shit. That's why people were making fun of him. If he was so beloved, they'd be like, oh, he's the jingle guy.
I know. I guess
how it goes.
That's how it goes. If it's we don't like you, now let's find a reason to double down on not liking it. You're right.
Correct. And if you're loved,
agree.
it's like, oh, you're cute.
Right. Well, that's like, it's like the whole ick thing. It's like everyone's like, oh, that's my ick. And then it's like, every person is married. You know, one person's ick is another person's husband.
Period.
That's the truth.
When girls tell me that, I'm like, honey, ick your life up. Bring them over here.
Right. Let me see what your ick. One person's trash, another person's treasure. You know, like that type of thing. Right. And it's like, you know, icks, the minute you love someone, become quirks. Yeah. You know, it's like,
exactly.
Oh my God, he does this and that's so crazy, but I love him. You know, it's like, it all becomes, you know, fuddy-duddy dad stuff, you know?
But so your parents are still together.
Yeah.
Right? Growing up, did you, like, there's natural annoyance with just, I don't know, anything, right? You spend enough time with anyone, you will be annoyed at something that they do, right? Sure. I'm like, I have a dog. She fucking annoys me sometimes. Right. You know what I mean? Like, she's not doing it on purpose, right? She's a dog. But I feel like this generation with the ick, it's not an annoyance. It's something deeper than an annoyance.
I think, to me, I talked about the ick on my special. It's on there about how I would never get the ick. Yeah. Because, like, the way I defined the ick was, like, it's just one thing that happens that makes someone not want to, like, have sex with someone. Like you're just immediately turned off. You know, like that's how I understood it to be. And that like you would just, and I was like, there's really nothing that a woman could do to make me not want to fuck. Yeah. You know, like
men don't get it as much.
No, I talk about it on the special, just like it's just such a foreign concept to me when put that way. Yes. I think when it goes deeper, I don't really believe it. Like I actually don't buy it. I think, you know, icks are from, and annoyances in dating come from forcing yourself to push through your own standards not being met. So I think when people are dating, and I know this as a single person myself, when you're dating, it's a lot of doubt, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of like, you know, I'm being too picky, I'm being too choosy. Who am I? Because none of us really think so highly of ourselves. We think we are, at our highest moment, we're very confident, but most times we're just medium, So most times you're like, who am I to have any standard, any taste, to say no to anyone single at 39. You know, I have my own problems. So I think when someone goes on a date and they're like not sure about someone, they go, I'll go on the next date because I'm not sure. Who am I to turn down someone? They might be great. Who am I to say the next date and they're asking me out? And who am I to turn down love when I'm out here begging for love? So I think when you get the ick, it's like a breaking point. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. It's like, you know, you're at that point where you're like, okay, fine. I'll hang with them. I'll go out with them. Oh my God, Velcro wallet. Get me the fuck out of here.
Okay.
That to me is the ick is the tip of the iceberg.
Yes. And I hear that. And I do think that there are some people listening to this who are like, I am amazing. Women, I don't want to speak for men, but women, there are certain women out there who are like, I've done all the work. I've done all the things. I'm still doing the work. And I deserve, brings out a scroll.
Right.
Right. And then you have the, oh my gosh, am I too picky moment. So to your point, going on the second date, I feel like sometimes it's like, I do think that certain people are more comfortable in their skin than others. I would say that I'm pretty comfortable. You have a podcast. You're pretty comfortable, right? Right? Like
I don't think a podcast makes you more, is a signification, or how do you say it? Is an indicator of high confidence.
But you can have a conversation. You're confidently having a conversation. You're not sitting at a dinner twiddling your thumbs.
Right.
You don't know what to ask next. Like, you know, like how to banter.
Well, that's a problem in dating, don't you think?
What?
Do you have that issue where you're like, I could carry any date?
Well, exactly.
Right.
So sometimes if I'm with a guy and he's a little more quiet or a little more shy or something, I'm like, I always think to myself, give at least a second date because I can talk to this wall.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me, it's more so that more than like, you know, oh my gosh, I don't like this guy. Right. Or does that make sense?
No, that makes total sense. And I think then the doubt comes later.
Right.
Because then 3 dates in, you're like,
do I like this guy?
Right. Wasn't I, do I like this guy or do I like my interview style? Like, you know, it's just different places in the you know, the process.
Right.
You know?
For sure.
I think like, you know, it's more, I guess it's like way more nuanced than like shy, meek person who can't go on dates than, you know, conversationalist on the other side of the spectrum. It's like we all have our moments of like ups and downs, you know? And I think like, you know, especially when you're dating and trying to find someone, it's especially as you get older, you have a lot of people that like they're sick of hearing about it.
Really?
You know, like your friends and family. Like I went home to my parents.
Like,
my parents
really?
are wild. My parents, I go home and my mom just randomly will start. It's like a sing-songy voice. She'll go, I just wish you would find someone. It's like she was like yelling out a window, I just wish you would find someone. And I'm like, that's more of her being like, I just want to know that you're okay.
Right.
And being with someone, no matter who it is, no matter how good of a match this might be, it's just with someone. You're not alone.
It's
you know, like
it's
parents are that way a lot. So
yeah, and it's like, Mom, but do you just wish that I was happy? Because I'm pretty happy.
Right.
You know what I mean? I might not be happy with someone, but I have a great group of friends. I like what I do. Like, I have a friend who just got cheated on who was with someone for 5 years. Like, she ain't happy right now. You know what I mean?
Well, then there's you know, I hear agreed, but like, I think from their perspective, I think especially a parent, they
growing
look at
old.
Right,
together.
they're older and they go, they know the friends go away. They know that everyone's going to start going to their own little corners and living life. And, you know, I don't think they have an understanding. Again, times are different.
For sure.
You know, there's a movie coming out with, we just had her on the podcast, Heather Graham.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Chosen Family. So like that phrase, chosen family, of like the people you choose to include in your life. That's kind of a new age thing that's not as weird as maybe it was for their generation.
For sure.
But I understand where it comes from. Like my mom's like more like, it's interesting. She doesn't want me to be happy. She's actually looking for someone to take care of me.
Yeah.
Like she thinks I can't take care of myself. So she's really screaming to the heavens, please, someone care for my boy.
Yeah.
And I feel for that person. Whoever I date has to field her calls.
Right.
And really like
right.
they'll end up having to answer like a questionnaire of have I done doctor's appointments?
Yes,
like that's crazy because she
that's...
doesn't trust me. When I tell my mom, go, did you go to the doctor? I'll go, yes, I went last month. And she'll go, I don't believe you. And I'll go, okay. I guess this is where we stand then. Like, I don't know what else to produce for you to let you know. Do you want test results?
Yeah, the screenshots.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know what to do at that point.
Yeah.
So,
well, do you find dating hard?
Yeah, I think it's hard. I mean, I've been doing dating talk on podcasts for over a decade. So I've been talking about the subject for a long time. And the only reason I've talked about it is because people kept asking me about it.
Yes.
And that's kind of how it all kind of started. Like I started a podcast before people were doing, I at the time I thought I was late because I was listening to podcasts. Like I like podcasts.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I'll start my own. I'll be the millionth person with a podcast. Now saying that, I'm like, it's wild, like thinking I was late.
Yeah,
because now there's a billion more podcasts, but whatever.
Yeah.
And I started this podcast, and then suddenly people started email. I was like, I gave out my email. Mm-hmm. I was like, if you have any questions, dating wasn't, and I think people were going through this new era of dating, which is stuff you can't really go to your mom and dad about because there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, and I grew up...
dating apps.
No dating apps. So at 39, my kind of adulthood tracks the invention of all these things. Mm-hmm. So you have this thing where like technology and dating are now changing and like the technology keeps differentiating and getting newer. And, the idea, if you went to your parents and were like, what does it mean when they give me their Snapchat handle and not their number? Like, that's a different language to them.
Yes.
So, I had an opinion on that. Like, I do know why I would do that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And also, I was like the only, I don't think there's a lot of straight men, right now in the dating talk world.
Wait, what?
I don't think there's a lot of straight men who are willing to talk about it.
Oh! I was like,
there's straight men out there. They're out there.
I'm like, wait, what? No,
there's less and less straight men. No,
yes,
we're dying off.
Yeah.
No, there's just less straight men who
want to talk about it. Yeah.
And talk vulnerably about it, and talk in a way that's not
preachy.
Preachy and trolly. There's a lot of trolls out there that will say things that are extreme just to get a reaction. That's how the internet works. That's how you get a following. So I was always talking about this in like just a normal guy way of like, here's how I feel. Here's what's going on. And from the guy side of things, it is icky.
Yeah.
So with me, what's been nice is that like I've been trusted by women a lot that come to wherever I'm talking about this. And the U Up podcast is an example of that. Like,
so good.
Yeah,
Love
thank
that
you.
podcast.
And to do it with Betches, which is like a female-led media company, and be able to be the honest and also like caring voice to it. Because I do know that when I first started talking about dating, I was like, this is fun. And for some people, it's the hardest thing in their life. And you have to really understand that. And when you can give the fun answer, but you also have to like a little bit think of the person who's really going through it. So I've thought a lot about my answers to certain things, and I talk about it now. It's talking about it for a long time. So personally, is it hard to date? Yeah, it's really hard for me because I kind of know too much. And I've gotten email, and that's like, no, I'm too much of a people pleaser. I hope that doesn't sound like I'm complimenting myself.
No.
I've just gotten like emails from so many women where they're writing in about me.
Oh God!
Like not me,
but like
every guy they're dealing.
That.
I've done that. I've thought that. I know why he's doing that.
Right.
Even if I haven't done it, I know how it got there. Like I bring up The Bachelor with you just because you're familiar with the universe, and like we were just talking about Jed, who like he left a girl and then went on the show, and that's why people didn't like him. This whole thing with Devin, now it's gotten into like restraining orders, but before that, the idea of a guy who's not the most striking looks-wise, going on a show with a bunch of men who are hunks, because Devin wasn't really the best-looking of the men on that show.
But
like
charismatic.
This is my point.
Yeah.
He could talk.
Yeah.
This guy could talk. This guy could cast a spell, so to speak.
Yeah.
And he does that, and then he gets to the end, and now he's engaged because his words got ahead of where he really was at. That is like a hyper relatable male thing. Any woman who's been on a date with a guy who says we should, I call them the we should guys. Yeah.
Oh, I was just on a date with a we should guy.
Right. Yeah. What did he say? We should go to Europe. We should take a trip. We should on the second day, we should go watch football. Guys get carried away in that way. That happens a lot, and that's a seduction tactic.
Yeah, it's like, why are you doing that?
Right, because and honestly, those guys, they kind of believe themselves a little bit. They're carried away. They're having a good time with you, and then they get back home and they go, "Oof, I made a lot of promises."
Yeah, exactly.
And then they got to roll it back, and that's why women are like, "But he said," and they take out the receipts. You said you were going to go to Europe with me.
And that's why I always say to my friends at home, and I will tell my Hidden Gems crew too, we're not in the car yet.
Right.
We're not in the car. The flight is not booked yet.
Not booked.
We are not until that's why even for me and it's not like I don't want to be let down. And it's like you said, this person could also be carrying themselves away, not just me. Circumstances happen. I don't really get on board with something. Even The Bachelor, when I went on The Bachelor, I did not. I had 2 days to pack because I was like, this is just not going to happen. You know what I mean? Like when I get an itinerary, which was 2 days before I left,
right?
That's when I'll start packing. Do you know what I mean?
I hear that, but that's and it's hard to do. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just hard for the guy to not say we should on a date where he's attracted to a woman and really thinks how much fun it would be to go with them bowling the next day or whatever they're promising. It's as hard not to do that as it is hard not to believe it.
Yes, exactly.
Both are, but the same emotion, just done in different ways. So, yeah, this is it's hard for me personally because I'm already 3 steps ahead and it makes me a pessimist. I was just talking with I don't know if you've ever met her, Logan Ury, who's like a dating
yes, I've never met her, but
behavioral scientist is what
I've never met her, but I read her book and it's great. And she has this whole test that I took, and yes, it's a whole thing.
Right, to say what type of dater you are. Logan's fantastic. Everyone should check her out.
She's great. I'd love to have her on the podcast too. She's amazing.
The best. I'll put you guys in touch. And she came on my podcast. She's been on for years now, and she was like, "You're a pessimist," and I was like, "Yeah, because I have seen the ending of this. I've seen the ending of these movies. Like." I've gotten the emails. But
look at your parents.
My parents, I don't know if I have that. That seems to be a female thing.
To look up to your parents that are still together?
Parents' relationship. I look at my parents' relationship, I'm like, I don't know how that's still going. Good for them. I don't have this this romanticized and their love was so great. Because my dad, he's always, it's not daughters. How did you meet dad?
Yeah.
We didn't even know. I never even asked. I was like, they met at a bar, I think. I found out that my mom was married before my dad when I was 18 years old.
Wow.
I didn't find out till then. And it wasn't until my mom told me because we met the guy.
Oh, what?
And it was and she was like, I got to tell you something. I was like, what's to tell me? And she's like, I was married. And it was a short, less than a year thing. And it had nothing to do with anything. I guess it does have something to do with their story and how they came together. But that has nothing to do with me. But I also, to not know that, I just never asked. I never cared to ask. It never was a part of my life to wonder.
What's funny is I think also this is a male and female thing as well. I, geek out over that stuff with my mom. And it's hard to believe that your parents had a whole life, whole dating life, whole everything before you. Because in your head, it's just you're my mom and you take care of me or whatever, right? Or you're my dad, and you we watch football together or whatever. You don't even think about I'm like, wait, my daddy had hoes. You know what I mean? Wait, what? You know what I mean?
Well,
at one point.
I always say that to people. They, I always say that on the podcast. It's it's we hold people too high a little bit, and there's a woman talking about your dad being that guy was a piece of shit. Yes. And it's no one is beyond that, and also our dads didn't have the tools we had, and now the tools are more, vicious, so to speak. The dating app, for every guy that's in a engagement picture is some other woman has a group chat being look at this fucking asshole getting engaged.
Oh, yeah.
He was texting me when they first started. Everyone has this. And it's like, I think we have to be easier on those stories. Like, we have to, like, you got to, like, if, and TikTok is, like, a cesspool for this shit.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Story time. I saw, like, I dated him in high school and he was nothing. It's like, in high school, are we still talking about that?
No.
And it's like, but you see that and people, it's gushy. It's delicious. You know, so it's hard to ignore, so.
Yeah, it's like you should do those stitches where it's like, but look at how much he's grown.
Right. Well, no one cares. It's
you
like,
hear all this stuff and you're like, but he's grown.
It's like when the New York Times makes a correction. It's like in the way back of the newspaper. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
We got the dopamine out of it. We got what we wanted.
We got the story.
Right.
And honestly,
we got the tea.
we're always looking for the tea.
Right.
But so you said something earlier that I wanted to go back to really quick. Since we have a guy here, and we don't have many guys on Hidden Gems here.
I love it.
When you meet a guy, or when a girl meets a guy, and let's say you're the guy, and he goes for the IG versus the number, what does that mean? What does it mean? Tell me.
Anytime,
especially in person, you're meeting this person in person. It's not like you know what the fuck I look like.
Right, right. I think that happens. Snapchat especially, but IG as well. Mm-hmm. You can take yourself out of someone's phone that way in an easier way, like unfollowing, unmatching. You can take your number out of their phone.
Right.
If you block someone, you can kind of like remove yourself from them.
Yes.
So it is I think like when you're dealing in DMs or Snapchats, it's the land of casual. You're looking for casual. You're not really looking for serious.
Yes.
Why would you opt for that over the number?
Yeah.
I think it's a less personal way to be personal with someone. So if someone does that, it's an immediate, to me, there's lies afoot. And also, if you're in a relationship, if you're dating someone, or if you're involved with someone, text can pop up.
Right.
Text can pop up. That's like a app that comes up. If I was to think in the, in the mentality of the person who's not really being honest, I would be like, DMs are hidden.
Well,
they're another press away. You have time to like not have your phone facing the person.
Right. You don't have to open the app.
Right.
You don't even have to have the app installed on your phone. But I was having this conversation with a girlfriend, and she said that she thinks it's sneaky when a guy asks for the number now over the DM or over the Instagram or whatever, because on his Instagram, he might have tagged photos with a girl or a girlfriend or this or that. And I'm just like, oh gosh, can we just never win?
Well,
we just can't win. It's like, I feel how you feel though.
Right.
Like when we meet a guy and we're talking and he's like, what's your Instagram? I'm always like, you know what I mean? I'm always like, why didn't he ask for my number?
Well,
so it's.
Yeah, no, I hear that point. Listen, this is the other thing that we all have to like kind of come to terms with. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to lie to someone.
Oh, period.
Period. Being cheated on, and that's the hard part about being cheated on is like, oh my God, what am I, stupid? I didn't see it. And I think that's something to be kinder to yourself on. It's like, if someone wants to lie, they can lie. Like,
whole double life.
Right. It doesn't matter. Like, if I'm on stage and I say to someone in the front row, what do you do for a living? And they're like, I'm a construction worker. That's the one I'm going to go with. Why would you tell me any differently?
Why would I think? No, you're not.
Right. The best way to find dishonesty is to act so honest that they seem weird. Because whenever someone's dishonest, you'll smoke them out.
Yeah.
Like anytime I act honestly.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm any more honest than the next person.
Right.
But I do think I've come to realize that, like, there is nothing the internet won't find out. There's no one's that smart. No one's that stupid. Everyone's kind of around the same thing. There's no manipulative genius out there. Like, I'll give you an example.
Well, they think they are.
They think they are. Well,
get caught.
They're always going to get caught.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. This happened, and I've been talking about it a lot because I think it's just a great example for dating scenarios. And I get weird feedback on it. I get why, but I got hoodfished. Instead of catfished, it is someone claiming to be from a certain neighborhood
that you're from.
that you're from, and in reality, they're from somewhere else. And you come to find out that later. So I'm on a dating app. I'm on Hinge. And I get a message. I start chit-chatting with this girl. And then we move to text. This is good.
Great.
And I'm in the West Village, and she's in meatpacking. I'm like, oh, I'm down the street. And she made a comment along the lines of, oh, we could have gone out, but I'm going to Miami tonight. And I said, oh, I love Miami. My parents are living in Boca now. Both are fun, but different vibes.
Where is this going? Oh, God.
She goes, oh, my God, I'm going to Boca tonight to pick up my dog from his grandmother. She's calling her mom the grandmother, the dog.
Oh.
We're already gone down a bad road, but this isn't about that.
Gran-
Not my type,
Grammy's
but okay.
got the dog.
Right. And I go, cool. And then I go, and so I said, oh, did I get hoodfished? And she's like, what? And the whole tone of the text changes. And I said, do you live in New York? And she's like, no, I'd love to live in New York and Miami, but I live in Miami, but I'm here all the time, which is the line every woman says. I'm here all the time. I'm here all the time. I live in Alaska, but I'm in New York all the time. It's the same thing. I've heard it a million times. You're not going to fool me.
But being in Miami, you could be in New York all the time, couldn't you?
Whether that be the case or not.
She physically was not in New York.
Your profile says
New York.
Manhattan, and it says you've been on Hinge?
Yep.
You have to change your location to make your location New York.
Yeah.
I travel every weekend. I don't have girls from Cleveland being like, where in Cleveland do you live? When I open up Hinge in Cleveland. I'm still in New York unless I changed it to Cleveland. Now, I'm not saying, like, there's a lot of, I can already feel the women listening foaming at the mouth. I'm not saying men don't change their location.
Yes, they do.
They do.
Yes, they
Men
do.
change their locations in general to fuck.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Which is
Cleveland tonight for now.
Right.
What's up?
And they will say on their profile here, or they won't. If they lie about it and they hoodfish you, it is to fuck.
Right.
Which to me is a more honest endeavor. Because in this scenario, she didn't say, I'm going home to Miami. The wording was very specific.
I'm going to Miami.
To Miami tonight.
She didn't want you to think that,
So we're already down the road, and now
she was not in New York at all?
She was in New York.
Oh, she actually
going
was.
back. And
but
she was. Yeah, she was in New York.
Okay.
But I'm saying.
Because now I'm like.
No. Who knows what's true at this point?
Yeah.
So I said to her, and she goes, I'm sorry if you feel like you've been lied to. She says, I'm sorry if you feel, I have the whole text. I screenshot everything, but it was like, I'm not trying to out this person. I'm just saying the wording was so
Where you
specific.
at, bitch?
Right. I'll get you. The wording was so specific to not admit fault.
Oh, I'm
Because
sad that you feel.
I'm sad that you feel. I'm going to Miami. I'm not going home to Miami. You know, all of it was done purposely. And then she made a comment, and this is a long story, long to show. She made a comment like, oh, I guess something happened with my app where my location must not have changed. And I'm like, this is where I'm being so honest.
This is when you give this face, and you're like,
right.
Girl.
This is why you always stay honest, because they'll smoke themselves out. At this point, I know how the app works. I know how to change the location. I know what's going on. It's okay, but like, come clean. Like, let's just talk about it. So it got to the point where, and she said, well, I am here all the time and I don't mind. And I said to her very nicely, I was like, listen, I've tried this before. It's not for me. Good luck with everything. And then I made a video about it, and I got a text from her like 2 weeks later. Is this about me? Like, the video went viral. New York Post picked it up, and it was about hood fishing. And
yes,
the funny thing about this
that's
is
hilarious.
It's very funny. It's very interesting because beside the part of like finding out if someone's lying or not, I stayed honest. I will figure it out at some point. Maybe not in the beginning, but at some point, the liar will be smoked out, as I've said a million times. But then what happens is I'm the miserable one when it comes to dating. If you're not positive and romantic, you're the one who doesn't believe in it. And this is the hard part in my life because this is where the pessimist comes out. Because for her, she's like, she says, I'm in New York all the time. it's an easy flight to New York from Miami. If I really cared about someone, I would do this.
I would do it.
And in my mind, the chances of me caring that much about someone during one date, enough to get them to fly again.
Yeah.
Then to care about them so much that I get them to fly a third time. Then I go to them.
Yeah.
Then we're physical. And then after we're physical, I go, holy shit, how did I get into this mess? I'm now dating this person. And I go, you know what? They're not for me. Who gets blamed?
You psych yourself, but you're psyching yourself
out. But don't
out.
I get blamed? I am psyching myself out. You're right.
You're psyching yourself out, but also, yes, you will get blamed for that.
You dated me until we got physical, and then you realize, well, that's part of how I make decisions.
Yeah, but and. No, truly. But when you guys went to text and she said, hey, by the way, I do live in Miami. After you guys have had a banter, do we cut it off?
No, then we'd have to rematch again. I'd have it.
We'd have
we're
to figure it out
always
again.
Swiping.
Yeah.
I think that's the underrated part about dating is like it's never over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like you said, I'm not in the car yet.
Yeah.
The plan isn't made. I'm not on the flight to Europe. So like everyone is swiping at every step of the way. When you go, you swipe when you see their face. Then you have a conversation. You're swiping on the conversation. Then do we want to go on a date? You're swiping on the idea of whether you go on a date with them. Then you go on the date. You're swiping on them as a date. Mm-hmm. You know, everything's a yes or no, and we always reconvene to make those decisions.
But are you more knowing or are you more yesing? Because I'm more yesing.
I'm probably more knowing right now. I'm probably in a no mode.
Yeah. I went through this phase of like 3 months to 6 months where I'll date someone and then I'll be like, okay, yeah, this is not my husband. I'm not going to do this anymore. Right. Or, 3 months was like a good little space as well. And then there was a guy who I was dating and I really liked him. 1 month, 5 weeks, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
I'm the same as you.
Yeah, but I think that the older you get, the more you're looking for compatibility opposed to just chemistry. Because listen, when we get more serious about, wanting to find a partner, you do kind of got to get more yes than no.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, like changing your location is a version of saying yes. Mm-hmm. Saying, okay, I would take the flight for a date if it was a great enough conversation, if the person was, vibed well. I understand that. Like, I think a lot of times I'm put into the position of being the practical one. I can't imagine being the driving force of making someone move to New York City.
Well, but you wouldn't be because that's my decision.
Sure, but but your decision is influenced by accepting that,
or the relationship. If there is a relation, and that's the other thing I think that, like you were saying, giving yourself grace, we have to give ourselves grace in these situations too, because it's just like when people say things like, you made me cheat. No, I didn't. No. You did that, right? And so if I said, you made me move to New York, no, you said this relationship means that much to me that I'm going to try it. But we all live in our own choice power.
You're right.
Right?
You're right on paper.
Okay.
I agree with you. if we were in court of law and there was a judge with a gavel, they'd go, you are not wrong for trying.
Yes.
I think it hurts to try. I think it hurts to put someone through that. I've done that. I've felt pain from relationships that I've ended where I knew it was right to end. I knew it was the correct decision. Everyone in my life told me, you're doing the right thing. This is not going to work out if you're already questioning it now.
Right.
And then you go through that ending and it's hard to forget the things that are said to you. Like I've been told, when I've ended things, I've been told that, do you really want to be an old dad? And I was like, I didn't even think of that.
Who said that?
I'm just saying.
Exes said that or
the breakup.
Oh God.
But I'm saying these are, and listen, I have empathy for it because they're trying to like, oh, I didn't think of the idea that they're saying that for me to go, oh, you're right. Let's stay together. That's not going to happen. They're doing that because they want me to
it's a jab.
Realize the error of my ways and feel the pain that they're feeling. That they think I'm not feeling any pain. I think the ender doesn't get a lot of credit for feeling pain for ending things. And I'm saying that to like, protect myself too.
Yeah.
Someone could hear that and go, well, you're just saying that because you've ended things. I'm like, well, yeah, I am. I'm just giving you my experience.
But the hurt goes both ways because you're both mourning a relationship.
Right.
You're mourning.
But I'm mourning ahead of the person who's being ended with.
Sure.
I think every relationship, the person ending it had a 2-week head start.
Yeah.
So that's why they seem like, they're like, when can I join the apps? And you're like, okay, you can join, but you have to worry about being seen. But I would say before we move on or whatever, I've had that.
Yeah.
I've been told I'm delusional.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and I have to admit to both of those things. I have to be, I never thought of being an old dad. I guess I haven't thought this through. I am delusional. Mm-hmm. But then you go, those are things that you have to like sit on and sit with, where it's like, no matter how right you were for ending this thing 3 months in, where you go, it's 3 months. I feel I can't push through. I don't know why, but I'm not going to like make this person deal with me and my indecision, because I think that's more mean than anything else, is putting someone else through your indecision, because now you're making them doubt themselves. They doubt their own confidence. And those are the emails I hear. And that's where it becomes hard for me, because I hear the email from the person who's trying to like grab onto this other person, and they're like sand through their fingers. And I'm like, man, I feel for this emailer, because they're like, I'm trying to make it work. And I know the guy on the other side that's like being cagey and not saying we're in a relationship. Oh, we're together, but we're not in a relationship yet. Like that, exclusive, but not boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. And I hear those things. I'm like, yeah.
Well, a lot of times the women are exclusive and the men aren't. You know what I mean? In those situations. But I hear you in the sense that why you're saying like you know too much. I totally feel that, but I think to override those ideas, the only thing that you can do is really get clear on what you want. Like, do you know what that looks like? What you want your wife, your life, to look like?
I think I have an idea of it. I thought about that today for a little bit. I was like, maybe if I knew. I think lately there's been indecision. Mm-hmm. I think lately, I think I was more sure before than I am now. Mm-hmm.
And like that's life, right?
Right.
Like that's how it goes, right? And that's fine. But when you are clear, and I say that because I have such a clear idea of. And it's an idea, right? But
like city suburbs, do you know what you want?
No, in the sense of like, do I care? Do I care? Meaning, would I do either? Yes, but would I want a certain type of life if I was living in the city? Yes. And if I can't have that life, let's go to the burbs, baby.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So things like that aren't like deal breakers. It's like I know that I live in a certain place right now, if I'm having more than one kid, taking them on a train, we don't want to do that. Yeah. We don't want to do that. I would rather have a car and a vehicle and feel safe. I would feel safer. It's about my safety, right? I would not feel safe with my 3 kids. Like, there was a kid, the kids get left, like they run off and then so scary. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. It's interesting because like there are certain types of people, and I asked the city suburb question because it's like, the way you answered it just now is like very similar to me. Like, well, what's the scenario? Who's the person?
Yeah.
And there are people out there that kind of work the other way.
For sure.
And they're like, it's going to be this. It's going to be this.
Yes.
It's going to be that.
Yes.
And I think they find themselves in relationships easier.
Well, I will say that I have met men and I have dated men. And they are very much, it's this, it's this, it's this. And I always say, I have this conversation with my sister about getting on someone's program, right? So me as a woman, it happens more so than not that I am getting on a man's program, right? And so if I'm going to get on your program, that means that if you live in Iowa I'm going to have to be okay with living in Iowa.
Right.
Or if you live in the suburbs, I'm going to you know what I mean? Like, because this is your life and you don't want to change it. And sometimes people are susceptible and willing to, but most of the guys that I date, they're like, this is my life. And either a woman's going to fit in it and grow in it or not. And when I look at a guy, I don't look to change this or change that and insert and do these different things. I look at his life and I say, am I with this program?
Right.
That's me.
That's interesting.
And the guys who I have dated long term, I've loved their program and I've gotten on their program. And I think that that's super important. I think, I talk about masculine and feminine energy all the time. And a lot of times when women really like a guy and they have great chemistry with a guy, but they're not great with their program, that's when they'll start exerting what they want and their masculine energy and them saying, we're moving here, we're doing this, we're doing that, blah, blah, blah. And some guys are like, great, I'd love for someone to tell me where the fuck we're going to move.
Right.
And some guys don't like that. And so that's when the butting heads and the this and the that and the power struggle and the feminine masculine
it's
all
funny
happens.
The feminine masculine part, because I was like, hearing you talk about like, I'm going to be on their program. Like, to me, that's nurturing.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, that's what's going on there. How do I make it better? How can I,
That's all I want to do.
Right.
I don't want to come into someone's life who's a fucking mess. And, if you're a mess, that's okay. I just don't want to, I don't want to date you yet. Maybe when you get a little unmessy, then we can date. But like, I've been a mess, right?
Yeah.
And I also, it's the same thing. It's like the way that I look at it. It's like, I don't want a guy coming to me and being like, you're going to wear that? You're going to do that? Like, you're not going to have to fucking tell me what to wear, how to present myself to the world. Like, you know what I mean? I'm a fucking lady. Like, so it's like that same thing. It's like, if I feel like I have to do that to a guy, even like, I don't really date guys that are very stylish.
Right.
I am the stylish one, but that doesn't bother me. Some of my other friends are like, do you see what he's wearing? And I'm like, that's his vibe though. And he's happy. Now, if he's like, babe, I really want to change my look, let's go shopping. Sure, I will come and help.
Right.
But like, I'm not looking to fix anyone. And I don't think that we can. I think that people are either happy in their life or they're not happy in their life. And when they've built something for themselves, man or woman, they say, how is this person going to integrate on both sides? Right?
Right. I think it's so interesting. Like, you're talking about attraction, like some people see a mess and they're like, ooh, I got a mess that I can fix up. And some people see a mess and they go, there's no way. That's not the way I'm going to get into this. And I that goes back to what's so difficult about it. There's no right answer.
No right answer.
There's no
right answer.
There's no, when someone gives you these like, I'm not a big fan of rules for dating. I think like that's a way of like getting over your own insecurities usually. Like when there's a rule, like I only do this, it's like that's kind of a cop out for dealing with your own shit.
Yeah, I don't believe in that either.
Right. So like, so what you're saying is like, this is your taste, which is great.
Yeah.
I think like understanding your taste is probably the best answer to all this. Like,
yes,
I think, sometimes I, have to come to terms with like, do I understand my own taste? And that does change, but.
Right. And where I am now and the type of guys that I like to date now is so different than where I was 5 years ago.
Right.
So it's all, I've had so many different variations of that type. But then I'll meet someone who's completely not that taste and we'll have crazy chemistry. And I'll be like, wait, where'd that come from? But regardless, the compatibility part isn't there because this person is probably a beautiful mess. And I don't want anything to do with that long term. So
yeah,
the dating.
Yes.
I love this conversation. I love that we're doing this because
absolutely,
as single people in New York City, and I think that this is a very single city.
Yes.
It's a very single city. And I think
it's a young city too.
And if you lived somewhere else, just like if I lived somewhere else. So that's where also, if you're listening to this and you're like, I live in New York and I'm so single, what's wrong with me? The city itself breeds singledom. Yeah. Right? It does. And
every night feels like a Thursday night here.
Right?
If you walk around the village, it's like Monday feels like Thursday. Thursday feels like Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually just said that on a live. It's like also too when you're working for yourself, it's like every day's Monday or every day's Friday.
Right,
it's
right,
whatever you want it to be.
It.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like working sometimes at 12 a.m. on a Sunday just because I can't sleep. So here we are, right? So it really just depends. But the grace that you give yourself though for that is super important. I think that if, like I said, I know it. If you lived somewhere else, you'd probably be already married or whatever, have a baby, blah, blah, blah. And I feel the same way about myself because it's just not as complicated because the things that you have to put into place in order to live in a place like this, mentally, physically, like the energy that you have to have is very, like, I got to worry about myself.
There's distraction. There's
distraction, but also I physically got to worry about myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I can like be in suburbia, when I'm in Michigan, went with my parents, I'm not worried about myself. I'm just, I'm walking outside barefoot. I'm just like willy-nilly. I'm not worried about getting abducted. I'm not worried about someone saying, hey, bitch, get out the way. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just so just happy. You know what I mean? And in a different way, in the sense of like, obviously I'm happy to live in New York, but in a different way of there's a carefreeness that I think, and a lightness that is just very different, that we meet each other in the city when we're trying to date. And it's just like, oh, disarm. You know what I mean?
Right. It's hard to like let those things go and be totally yourself.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I want to get into something with you.
Okay, please.
I want to get into comedy with you since we're here. You are a comedian. You've been doing this for how long now?
14 years.
14 years. When you decided to go into comedy, what was the state of your life like?
I was selling life insurance and annuities. I was 25 years old. I was working, trying to, post college. What am I going to do?
You didn't have a specific plan, like I'm going to go to college and be a doctor or this or that. No,
I went to Penn State for the very millennial reason of like for the experience.
Yeah,
the
fun.
College experience. I wanted Big Ten school, football.
Yep.
And I had a great time. And Penn State, I think the bubble's very thick from college world to real world. I think it's a tough transition, especially because there's no industry in State College, Pennsylvania. It's I did a thing where I hosted this game show, and I went to different college towns around the country. The ones that were near cities, the students were more adult. They were more in tune with like. Yeah,
I went to a city college.
Where'd you go?
To Columbia College in Chicago. It's a performing arts school.
So you were around people that could hire you.
Yeah.
I
worked during college.
Right. That was not the case at Penn State. Like, and that's something I've thought of after the fact, but because I went back to Penn State and was like, these guys are out of control.
Wow. But that's an interesting observation.
Yeah, it was, and only from just that game show. I went to 14 different colleges and did a game show there. But but yeah, I just was like, my friends were starting to like date and kind of get more serious, and some people were going to law school, some people were going to business school, and I was like writing funny emails to friends and spending my day kind of doing that instead of work. And then anytime like a friend would like go off the email chain and be like, that was hilarious, I'm dying at my desk, it made me feel good. Yeah. So I was like, how do I do that?
Ooh. Okay.
And that's kind of where it all started. I was like, I want to be funny for money.
For money.
Yeah. I want to make a career of this.
There's a lot of other things people do for money, so that's good.
Listen.
Funny for money. So then when you decided to, what was the first like moment when you were like, I could do this. This could be a career.
I hope it happens one day. I hope I have that moment.
No, you haven't. I know you do.
There was no thought of that.
Okay.
I always thought it was going to be a career. I didn't know how it was going to happen.
Okay.
But I always thought, I was happy that I made, Funny for Money is said, I say it specifically because it was so broad that it gave me the opportunity to say, this could happen in any way. I'm not going to like look at this through a keyhole.
Okay, good.
So I kind of created my own grad school curriculum. I took classes. I wanted to learn. I want to be good at comedy. Like I didn't want to be
funny. It made me laugh.
Right. I want to understand. I want to be really good. Mm-hmm. That's important to me, to have something that's quality. And that's been something that, like, you know, without sounding like you're talking badly about others, I would say that, like, right now we live in an era of, like, get your following and then you'll worry about the rest later. I have kind of thought about following at the same time where I was also going to open mics, taking classes in sketch writing and improv and going and investing in those things, and going to the open mic at 4 p.m. at a bar every day because they gave you 10 minutes instead of 5 minutes. So, like, these were all things that, like, were important to me, while also, like, okay, how do I put myself out there on the internet? Because the internet is, like, both the problem and the solution. How do I put myself out there where someone goes, this guy's hilarious? I just wanted that. So I started doing other things where I'm like, okay, what are ways that I can be hilarious? Because no one was casting me. Like, I had friends that were getting cast on, like, Guy Code at the time and Girl Code, and no one was really knocking at my door. And I'm like, okay, well, I could put a podcast out, and now I have control over that. It's my own creative thing. And then, you know, so over the years, I've always been just looking for opportunities to put myself out there and hoping that someone would see, like to me, everything I put out is a proof of concept of how funny I am.
Yes.
So either someone who's casting is like, I gotta create something with him, or someone who's consuming, I gotta follow and watch the next thing he does.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been the mindset over the past 14 years. And you know, for me, it always went the way of the consumer. I was always direct to consumer comedy.
Yes.
Which is a huge compliment. But it's also hard.
Yeah.
It's as you know, it's your full being, it's your full life goes into it. So yeah, that's where it all kind of started from.
And what about Netflix? When you got your first Netflix deal, how was that? How did that come about?
So this is kind of on the same subject. Like, I paid for my special. So, like, I made it, and, you know, you have to put a lot of your own, and, you know, I was making money doing stand-up. I'm making money as a comedian. I was making a good living. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I have all this material that I'm touring on the road. I got to put it out there so I can move on from it.
Yes.
Like, I think most of the reason someone does a stand-up special is to move on from the material so that they can write new material.
Yes.
So for me, I was like, okay, I'll pay for it to get made. I'll try and make a business decision that will get me, because all I want is eyeballs. I want people to watch the special, enjoy it, and then go to my next show when I come to their town. That's like that's all I care about in the world. So I went to Betches, who I work with on the podcast and known them for years. Yep. And I was like, how about you guys co-produce it? And they were like, great. I was like,
amazing.
Right. And I was like, I'll pay for it. My business plan was like, oh, someone will see Betches and be like, look how many people they have. That, you know, 100%. We have to buy it because they'll promote it.
100%.
So, but I was like, at a minimum, it'll go on my YouTube page and Betches will promote it. Yep. And at a minimum, I'll get their audience to see it and hopefully make it this big thing. Yes. So I paid for it, made it. Betches was, you know, signed on to be the promoter of it and help me sell it. And then we made it December 2022. And then you shop it around and it's like, okay, this place said no, this place said no, this place said no. And then Netflix was like, we're not a no yet. And so now you have this thing that's like done. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do the next step. I need to hear no, and then I'll move on. Yes. Give me a definitive no. And then we taped in December 2022. July 2023, they're like, okay, we're going to do it. And I'm like, okay, great. So now, and they pay you. So basically, you know, it's not life-changing money. I got my money back. Right. I get paid some on it. I'm now splitting it with Betches. Like, hey, here's some money that you just found. Yep. So everyone's pretty happy, and I'm like, wow, it's gonna be on Netflix,
and you're now the guy with a Netflix special, right? Which is great,
right? And then so at that point, the fulfilling part is like you can never take that away. Right. It is confidence-wise. I was pushed to do material that I don't think I would have done if it hadn't gotten bought. And the reason for that, at the end of the Netflix special, it's called 37 and Single. It's all about dating and body stuff. And I'm proud of it, but it's 10 years of jokes put together, sewn together. So it's like kind of a Frankenstein set because it's 10 years of things.
You wouldn't know that the way that you delivered it.
Thank you. And but I'd been talking about the same dating, food, family. I've been talking about that since I started comedy. And I had this story about going to the beach with my parents. And I was like, I guess I should tell that story. And it was never work. It never did. It would make people sad. They didn't like it. And then, I'm like, I got a Netflix special. Let's, who cares who likes it or doesn't? I can do this. Yep. And so it's a 2-minute story that is now an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
And I've been doing it on the road for 2 years since we taped the special. And it's, to me, like you saw a piece of it at the Cellar. And it has been so much.
I was going to say, that's not sad. It was so funny.
I know. Well, you work at it to make it not sad. Like, because I started realizing, I'm like, oh, this part, there's something more to say about my dad. And there's something more to say about my mom. And there's something more to say about me. And it is really, really, now, so we're taping it now 2 years to the day that I taped the last special. I'm taping it in Tarrytown, New York, and it's weird because like it's all about my family, and it could be, you could bring your parents, and it's all true. And it's weird because people really connect on a level that I'm like, I never expected. I always thought talking about my parents was like, who am I?
Right.
Like they're not that entertaining. And then the more I talked about them, the more people would be like, that is exactly what my dad does. That's exactly what my mom does. So it's been very cool to see. And like, it's just hit everywhere. Like I have people that are like, do you have to change your material if you go to Iowa? No. Everyone's got family.
Well, so I think what's interesting too is in just the way that the people are consuming content and the way that people are, it's like I watching a TV show, like a regular TV show, a Cosby or a Fresh Prince or wherever it is, it's like, this is a family and I am watching them as actors be a family, but I know they're not actually a family. Right. And then when you now go to the internet and I'm on there talking about my dating life, my this, my that, it's literally me. And so if someone's going to criticize me or say something mean or bad or whatever, they're saying it about me.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's probably a reflection of them or a projection of them.
Totally.
But now with you, it's like people want to hear, instead of you talking about your ex-girlfriend's, your mother-in-law or whatever, blah, 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 they want to hear what you have to say about your mom versus the other people, because now, even though I'm hearing your story and this is your true real story, I can still relate to things that is relatable to my parents through that. And that's a crazy dynamic and connection. You're not an actor up there talking about random people that you don't know or interacting with or interfacing with. It's so much more personal and personalized.
No, it's
and it's beautiful.
It's hard to do because you have to trust that like people will relate it to their own lives. Like, stand up, like you just want the laughs.
Right. And
you have to like trust the bridge that people can get there. And I didn't trust that. But that's it takes confidence that I didn't have, and I still try to have.
And the intelligence, and that's why they say like comedians are so smart. Also,
boy, are they wrong.
Well, I
think comedians are what generally most of us have in common is that we're all sensitive. And I know when someone's uncomfortable. I know when an audience is uncomfortable. I don't think that's the thing I think I know that I'm pretty good at. Like I can feel when something is going on, I can sniff it out. It's just like, I think like comedy, you can see like what's been going on, what's happened. Like there's a lot of like tragedy porn that's out there for comedy, and I don't have a tragic tale to tell, you know? So like, it's interesting. Like I do feel like, and then also there's like crowd work, tragedy, you know, political leaning comedy. And I'm like, this idea of like liking your family and being annoyed by them at the same time, like sounds a little, you know, hokey and
but it's literally everyone,
right? And I'm like, and that's the thing, it's like it's everyone, and no one like wants to admit that they like kind of like their life, you know, like we live during such weird times and kind of dark times, and it's like we're, you know, the internet is a competition to the bottom of how hard it was for me, and I guess I'm trying to zig while everyone else is zagging, where I'm like, here's this pretty good life with a funny tale that goes with it.
And that's the thing. Yeah. And there's always that like pre-claimer, you know, even when people have things and it's just like, hey, if you hate your life, if your mom abandoned you, if your dad abandoned you, this joke isn't for you. You know what I mean? But it's like, but you don't have to say that.
You don't have to say it. Right.
The people who get it. Like, I love my family. They're amazing. They're great. I don't know what I would do. Like, I would be a completely different person without them. But also, yeah, they're annoying as fuck.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
and I'm annoying to them.
I start every show with, you know, I just went on vacation with my parents. And I say, does anyone vacation with their parents still? And it's funny because like
it's like no.
Yeah, the younger the room, the less people want to admit it. Because I think when you're younger, and I you know, everyone's guilty of this. You're younger, you're looking for, who am I? What's my interesting position? What's my Batman origin story? And then the older the room and the more settled in their life the room is, the more I hear back from people with a clap.
Yeah.
And it's just an interesting differentiator of like, and then I always say, I'm like, oh, then people clap and I go, oh, good, there's some other people here for money. and it's just like, there's no lies being told here. So, no, and I'm happy you enjoyed it. I'm happy you connected to it because it is very cool to have people go, that's my dad. Or like, I can see people hitting their parents in the crowd when I'm talking about something, and it's just like, it's great.
Or even if it's like, you know, you're like, who comes from money? It's like, I didn't come from money, but I have so many friends that do, and they do always. They're always on vacation with their parents. You know what I mean? So it's like you have that like association. You know what I mean?
And you don't even have to come from money to vacation with your parents.
For sure.
You can go on any vacation. If you go on vacation with your parents, you know, everyone, you know, growing up, everyone was middle class. Yeah. Everyone was middle class. You know, if you ask someone, we were lower middle class, upper middle class. No one ever said we were rich.
Yeah.
You know, very, very few times that someone have to like know people thought they were poor to say they were poor. Right. So people usually leaned on the middle class thing. And it's like, when you go on vacation with your parents, the one thing you know is that things are pretty okay. No matter what, whether you stayed at a Radisson or a Four Seasons. Yep. You still had a pretty loving, cool existence. Right. To be able to like be with your parents anywhere. Mm-hmm. So it is interesting because like, especially with, you know, everything feels so divided. And then I travel the country and I meet people and everyone seems pretty much similar.
Well, and that's a beautiful thing about comedy. Yeah. And that's why we love comedy and that's why we need comedy. Do you know Sydney Washington?
Of course. I
had her on the podcast. She is she's so great. And I said the same thing. Funny. She's so funny. And I said to her, I was like, you know, these types of, we need to laugh. And that is the unison that we can, you know, even, I don't care how people feel about what's going on. It's like, anytime I see a meme or someone like talking shit about how Kamala Harris laughed, like her laugh, I'm like, this is hilarious. Right. You know what I mean? Anytime there's some outlandish, crazy thing, you know, the eating the dogs, eating the cats, like, it's like the comedy, if we're not coming, I don't care who you are, this is funny. You know what I mean?
It's also funny that like that kind of outs people. You know, comedy, like, I'll give an example that's not political, but like, I mean, similar examples, like my brother's name is Harry, and then Trump, there was a video of Trump being like, Harry, get up here, get your fat ass out of bed. And my brother sent it to my parents being like, literally everyone has sent this to me today. And I was like, that's so funny to send to you. Get out of bed.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was, just like you're saying, it's a laugh. Yeah. But you can see like when I yell at The Bachelor, I yell at The Bachelor on my Instagram, and it is so interesting, and I'm sure you've gotten this.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell how okay someone is with themselves by the way they react to The Bachelor.
Mm-hmm.
Like when people, like I have people that are like, they have to tell me how much they hate the show, how fake it is, how this is horrible, and who would do that to themselves. And I've never heard that and been like, and thought that this was an okay person. Like, I always am like, and they think I'm going to sit there and go,
You're
so right. All I'm thinking is how much they need therapy when they say that to me.
It's like, babe, turn it off.
You don't have to watch it.
It's not good for you. It's not good for you.
And whenever someone says that to me, they think that we're going to commiserate. They think I'm going to go, yeah, those fucking idiots who will go on that show. I couldn't be the more opposite of that opinion.
Yeah.
I couldn't think, like, I like the people who go on. I think when people go on, like, I can understand your mentality going on. This will be a fun adventure. And if I find love, what a bonus.
What a great bonus.
Right. I assume that's everyone's intention going on. When someone reacts to it in such a negative, gross way, you've heard that, right?
Oh,
I mean,
honey.
I'm sure, right? And I always, sometimes people come to mind like, this is the dumbest show ever. I go, you wrote this on the wrong account. Go talk to ABC.
Yeah.
I'm doing my own show here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm making it funny. So it's like when you're making jokes at someone and they can't even get out of their own way.
Yeah.
To have fun with the material, you're like, oh, I know everything.
You shouldn't talk about your mother like that.
Right.
You're
my God. I had a woman say that to me. Has your mother heard these things? And I'm like, are you kidding me? My mom is front row seat for all. I brought my mom to the Cellar.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And my parents came to the Cellar. And
what an amazing place, by the way.
The best.
What an amazing place.
What a New York City moment. You'll feel like you're in a movie. It's great.
What an amazing place.
I had just started doing the material about my parents. And I'm friends with the whole staff of the Cellar. I used to host there. So I was there for like hours and hours and hours.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents came into the city for a wedding. And they were like, and I'm like, let's go to the Cellar. I'm doing a spot. So they walk in and I go sit them in the show. And like one of the managers like, have they seen it yet? And I'm like, have they seen it yet? They're like, you've been talking about your mom for like the last, and I go, she fucking lived it.
Yeah.
I go, none of these stories are not true. These are all true stories. So I go on stage and like, you could see the whole waitstaff is like looking at my parents and like looking at my dad and mom. And I go up and I start doing the jokes and my mom's yelling out, no, I did this. And we're still disagreeing about the stories. And it's like she's laughing. She's louder than anyone else. My dad is like, you got like, it's so ridiculous. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not taking any pot shots, So yeah, it's, you can tell like, oh, your family doesn't operate like this. You're not like yelling at your dad being like, I mean,
I don't yell at my
there's
dad.
A video.
I do not.
There's a video that I just put up where I give these like pep talks to single people.
Mm-hmm.
And the joke is that like, yeah, you could be in a horrific relationship. Just like you said, you could be cheated on 5 years in.
Yeah.
So I go, here's a pep talk for all the single people as my mom is on the phone with my dad telling me to take my dad's Ozempic. And I'm like, and I'm like literally facing the camera like, you could be dating someone and they'd have to witness your mom telling you to go on your dad's Ozempic.
That's so
And it's like, we're all laughing at it. I'm annoyed at her. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I don't want to, I'm not doing a bump of my dad's Ozempic. So like, yeah. So it's, comedy is one of those things. It's like, you know the person right away. Like when they relate to it, like you feel like you. Yeah.
But it's also like, again, hey guys, we're here to see a show.
Oh my God. Last night I had a girl, and that's the thing, comedy, like, I don't really believe in canceling. I don't think that really happens. I don't think people are offended. I think people are just like, have more places to be offended. I don't think people are more offended now. But this woman was in the front row and they were like, I go on stage and they're like, before I go on, they're like, don't talk to that woman to the right. She's hammered. She already yelled out. Not going to be worth it. I was like, okay, good to know.
Oh.
Go on stage and I have this part where I talk about like talking to myself in the mirror and I call myself a narcissist. I go, what are you, a narcissist? And then I go on to the next joke. I'm going on to the next joke and this woman in the front, she's like 24. She's like, you're a narcissist. And I go, yeah, I just said that in the last joke. And I'm just looking at her, and I'm like, she was very drunk, and I was like, it's just so funny because I could tell like something hit her, and I looked at her, I was like, I'm not your ex-boyfriend.
That's so funny.
And she was just
yeah.
And sometimes so I always understand when someone's mad in a crowd, I'm like, it's because something else.
It's not you.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah. It's not. And that's how that's how we have to feel as well. Like when you put yourself out there on the internet and all these different things, it's like, people will come for you for all different types of things. And it's just like, ooh, okay.
Right.
Where's this coming from?
It's hard to see, but yeah, and the problem is that we have to like do the mental math to go, it's not me.
Yeah.
I kind of envy the person that like never has to go, that's their problem. That's what they're dealing with. Like we do that like 7 times a day.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, those people, they're not. Yeah. But I mean, overall, since where you are in your life and your career, would you have something to say to your younger self when you were just starting out? Would you have something to say in the sense of like advice?
I don't know. I guess I would say, I don't know. What would you? I have a motto that I kind of live by, and I would say that I wish I lived by it more.
Okay.
So I easier said than done, so to speak. We write to edit. You have to write. Put it down.
Yes.
Do it, because you'll edit it later.
Right.
Nothing you do is going to be perfect. Nothing you do is going to be exactly the way you saw it. Maybe it'll happen once or twice, but most of the time, life is a rough draft, and you're just trying to like make it better.
Yes.
And it doesn't get better unless you do it. So if you held back, like I never would have gotten on Netflix if I didn't, because I was mad that I was making my own special, that I'm spending my own money. I was like, no one, because there are people that they come to them with a big bag with a money sign on it, and they go, please make us a Netflix special. That's not me.
Right. Yet.
There are people that get, well,
yet.
The second one I'm paying for too. But it's never going to be exactly how you want it.
Right.
So you just got to do it. Like,
but you can't stop, and you have to put yourself still out there.
Yeah. And you can't let, the insecurities get, I mean, I could give myself the same advice for dating. Like, you can't let these things get in your way, but you have to write it down so that you can edit it. That's the process. Yeah. It doesn't go edit, then write. It goes write, then edit. And that's for everything in life. Like, so I wish I followed it more. I wish I did that more. But I think like when you're like, should I do this? Yeah, you got to write it down to edit it.
Yeah.
It's only going to get better if you do it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the advice.
That's great advice. Anne Lamott has a book called Bird by Bird. It's a writing book. And she always talks about the shitty first draft. And I literally lived by that when I was a writing major. And I lived by that because she's just like, just write it all. Just anything. Just write it down. The shitty first draft.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I've had shitty first draft dates. I've had shitty first drafts, all types of different things. You know what I mean? Going to work and you're like, oh my God, can I redo this?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's certain things that, I think that's really great advice. Like write it down, edit later. That's really great advice.
In everything, you know, not just writing, just go do it.
Yes. Okay. I have one last question for you.
Okay.
What is in your wellness toolbox living in this city? What do you do to feel better about yourself?
You gotta ask me this while I'm hungover.
Yep. You're like, come do a podcast hungover.
My wellness toolbox. What do I do to feel better? I've been big on. What I do is I sit and have coffee outside. That feels very meditative to me. I
like solo.
Yeah, just coffee outside. I really like that.
Yes.
I don't even know what else I would do with my time. Like I do it a lot, and I'll like just like I said to you, I was like playing the crossword, but like just sitting outside and having a coffee is just like. And I did study abroad in Florence, and I never drank coffee before going there. And then I went there, and you're in Europe, so like you do the coffee thing, but
C'est la vie.
just the sitting outside and having a coffee is like really when I feel the most like drenched in like,
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So I think that's my, like if I'm like in my apartment doing podcasts and writing or whatever I'm doing, if I can get to a coffee shop and just sit.
And go outside.
Yeah, I feel really good.
Do you have a dog?
No, the dog would be dead. I travel too much. I'm a dog hater, and I'm saying that to get ahead of people telling me I'm a dog hater because I'm not a dog hater.
I wish I brought Nyla. Normally Nyla's here. My dog.
What type of dog?
She's a Maltipoo. She's normally here.
I'm okay with a dog. I just it's dog to dog. I'm not just gonna love a dog because it's a dog. I had some woman dog jumps on me, and I'm like,
that would have been Nyla. See, I knew not to bring her.
but,
Nyla will jump on you.
I'm okay with the jump on you, but I have to be there to receive the dog.
Did you grow up with dogs?
We had a dog named Stoli. The dog, I was made fun of in my family because they were like, Jared never really connected with the dog. I've never bent to the knees to pet it.
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, listen.
Here's the problem with the dog.
I'm listening.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
Okay.
Let's hear.
Here's my issue. The dog used to, the minute the door would open, the dog would sprint out.
Okay.
Leave.
Run
gone.
away.
He must have really hated living in my house. And then my mom would start going, the dog is gone! And then I would have to be stressed out of my mind.
You have stress attached to dogs.
Yes. And it would be like, if we don't, my mom is like screaming out the door, Stolly, get the dog back. You gotta find him. I don't know where he is. And I would be like, why is this attacking my life? Why? Because you don't know how to take care of the dog. I have to be stressed out every time it runs out the door. And then I have to feel bad if it dies, gets hit by a car. I'm the one that has to deal with this.
Yeah. It's a big burden.
This is why, to me, a dog was a burden.
Yes.
More than a pleasure.
Yes. It was stress. It's stress attached to it. So you're like, ugh, these dogs. They could just run outside and get hit by a car.
And no, right.
No, truly.
And also have someone screaming to you, help!
Yeah.
Help!
No,
but I'm
truly.
like, I don't even know how to help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. Yeah, maybe it was, just like a Forrest Gump in another life. You know what I mean? Just gotta run. Just gotta run.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Dog would sprint out.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This is a blast.
I loved
such a pleasure.
All of our conversations. I do hope that your dating turns more into yeses than nos.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, and I'm glad for the male perspective. I'm always glad for the male perspective here.
I'm happy to bring it.
Yes.
And you're fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you guys for being here with us for another episode of Hidden Gems. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to Hidden Gems with me, your host, Natasha Parker. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps grow our budding community. Follow me on IG at Natasha Parker and the show at Gems with Natasha. Hidden Gems with Natasha Parker is produced by Gotham Production Studios.